What's going on, my friend? And welcome to the Messenger Podcast with your host, Sam Colon. And today we have another special guest, my man, Johnny Prana. And like I do usually, I'm going to bring him on and he can introduce himself. Johnny, ¿qué pasa?
¿Qué pasó, my brother, man? So good to see you, man. It's an honor to be on here. I feel like we have essentially podcast conversations every single time we talk
Every
anyway.
time.
This
Easily an hour and
every
a half.
time.
Yep.
Easy. Right. So this is just being recorded now. So
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be
that's
great.
that. Yeah, yeah. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. So introduce myself. All right.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Johnny Longinidis. Oftentimes go by Johnny Prana because that flows. I live here in southeastern Connecticut. I'm a first generation immigrant from Greek cultures, so there's obviously a lot of pride in that, and that shapes so much of who I am today, who I am here, and in this incarnation. Um, I've been living in this area all my life, and my journey has taken so many weaves, turns, and tangents. Uh, Today, where I stand, well, I should say the past 20, well, for 28 years, I've been involved in a family business, in the restaurant business, and actually, I should say, I mean, I was washing dishes at 10 years old, so
Yeah. So, yeah, you've been in it all your life, brother.
yeah. I don't even have time for that math. I just turned 45 a couple weeks ago, so. But about 15 years ago, there was a light bulb that went off, and from that point forward, that light bulb went off. Well, maybe we'll talk more a bit about that, where I recognized that I was going on my own personal journey to understand who I am a bit more, because prior to that, a lot of traumas, a lot of suppressed emotions, a lot of putting on a face and a mask to feel like I had to be this certain person. And really, from that point forward, I made a commitment to begin on this journey of understanding myself. And where I sit today is at a place where I want to be able to share all of the practices, all of the learnings, the teachings that I've learned, and truthfully, really, um, I want to be able to show others how they can all do that themselves. So I sit here in my power and my vibration to hold space for others to uncover their inherent gifts. So I own a local studio here, Pranayama Studios, and where we offer a variety of different yoga classes. Breathwork is at the core of what I do. That's where most people know me as that's hence the name Johnny Prana. Um,
Hmm.
but as I really like to say, the breath is really the entry point. And in so many ways, it's the entry point, whether I'm working with my clients or to go deeper within yourself. The breath is our way, it's the vehicle that gets us deeper into ourselves, into this connection to something bigger than ourselves. I like to say it's our connection to spirit. And so, um, through the studio, and then, of course, online communities, online coaching, and retreats, which really light me up. Those are the vehicles that I utilize to be able to share these experiences and these gifts. So it really is. It's an honor. It's fun every single day
Mm,
to be able
so
to,
good.
yeah, to be able to, yeah, to call this my
Awesome.
work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for sharing, brother. That was so good. That was a nice, detailed introduction. And so, for those of you watching, by the time you're done with this, most likely you're gonna want to connect with him, and we're gonna have a description to his community and how to get in contact with him in the description. All right. All right. Now, Johnny, you did such a good job with the introduction that the question is gonna be half of the question that usually is, right? Because basically what it is like, when did you make that transition 15 years ago, right? That's the beginning, right? Now, what happened to cause that transition? And I think that's where I think we're gonna start this road and this journey on this podcast today. Where did it start for you?
So my journey began where I see where the tipping point was. Obviously, there was many things prior to 15 years ago that were leading up to this point, but my journey began practicing in martial arts. And jujitsu for me started to unlock something else that was going on. I was tapping into something there. There was a flow state that I was tapping into. And not long after I was training in jujitsu, I had a good friend of mine that was encouraging me, come to a yoga class. You got to come to a yoga class. And he was a guy just like myself in the service industry. He dove into yoga. I kind of hadn't seen him in a while. He wasn't coming into my bar. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Man, you gotta come to a yoga class." So I put him off for months and months and months, and finally I decided to go to one of his classes. And of course, myself, 29 years old at the time, jujitsu, CrossFit, I sleep a few hours, just burning the candle at both ends, partying. This is gonna be this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be cute. So
At least that's what you thought.
so that's what I thought. So I showed up to that class, mind you, a heated 90-minute vinyasa class that happens to be like his black diamond class, his hardest class. That's where I'm going in
That's
the
what you,
deep end. Let's go.
that's where you started. Okay.
Of course. With sweatpants on, hoodie on, because I want to make sure I can sweat. And within a
All the
few
mistakes.
minutes, what's that?
All the mistakes. Like literally everything that you,
Oh,
all of it, which is great. Go ahead.
oh, absolutely. It's perfect. Within a few minutes, I recognized that I could not catch my breath. And I mean to the point where I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. I felt like I was drowning. I felt like I was suffering. And all I heard throughout the class was this calm breath. I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm suffering and just pretending like I'm doing great. But I heard something in that class, and it was follow that. Mm, Follow that. Follow the breath was what I heard. And it was an inner voice that I heard. And from that point forward, I obviously recognized I have a dysfunction that I did not know about. And I continued on very slowly, one class a week, maybe two at most. And within like 3 to 6 months, I'm training in jujitsu and I was a blue belt at the time, and I training with a higher level instructor. He was a brown belt, maybe a black belt at the time, can't remember. And I don't really remember. So I remember I was really hanging with him much longer. And I remember being in very compromising positions where normally I would probably freak out and just tap. And I caught myself just pressing pause. I'd close my eyes and I'd just breathe. We stopped that roll, and he looks at me with this look and he goes, "What? Am I allowed to swear here? Is that, yeah?" He basically says, he's like, "What have you been doing?
Oh
What
no!
have you
Oh,
been
you're
doing?"
asking me? I thought he asked you. No, man, go for it.
Oh,
No, no,
thank you. Yeah,
we want we
yeah.
want the story like raw. Go for it. What did he say?
All right, good. Because thank
Can
you.
we
Okay,
curse
just
on
making
here?
sure. Yeah, yeah. He looks at me and he says, "What the fuck have you been doing?" And it was out of my awareness. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You got really good really fast. I don't know what the fuck you've been doing, but whatever it is, just keep doing it." And another light bulb. Huh, it's the yoga. there's something else here that I don't understand, that other people have this perception of what this is. I got to understand it more. So, as synchronicity would have it, I'm continuing to get these injuries in jujitsu. Neck injuries was the main thing that would essentially 1 week training, 2 weeks off, 1 week training, 2 weeks off. I did that for probably about a year until it was for me it was debilitating. I couldn't pick up my head off the bed, and there was a foggy brain and all these things. I finally made the decision. I called my teachers. I was like, "Listen, I have to take time off because this is detrimental to my health." So, and for me, that was like, I thought that that was my path. I'm like, I'm gonna be a teacher, jujitsu. I'm gonna be traveling the world with this. Like it meant so much to me. Within a week of me deciding to stop jujitsu, there's teacher training going on at the school that I go to. And all I felt in my body was this jolt of like excitement. I'm like, what the fuck? It was a pull, and I just heard you're going to do that. I'm like, what the? Going to do yoga teacher training? That's the weirdest thing I could possibly do at the time. Mind you, I'm 35 years old. I own a restaurant and bar. I'm kind of known as, the fun guy. Anybody wants to have a good time, man, and just no frills or nothing. You come talk to Johnny and it's gonna be, I'm down for whatever. So I was always keeping the fact that I was even going to yoga under wraps. Now to go to
That
teacher
was on your
training.
raps. Yo, dude, but before you continue on that thread right there, you said the word how synchronistic was it, right? But like as I'm observing like what you're sharing, think about how truly synchronistic was it that you were doing the BJJ, right? And then yoga came in at the same time, but putting you in a position like you can't even make this shit up, right? Like this is like higher perspective, like the higher self guiding you through this stuff, right? So you got something that you were really passionate at, so therefore you're giving it your all, putting yourself in a compromising position, like I can't breathe because I know I rolled, and yeah, there's times you start to panic when somebody's putting that weight on your lungs and trying to submit you. Yeah, that mind starts going, and that breath better be on point because if not, you'll panic. You're top before they even lock you in. You're like, all right, I'm done. But
100%.
yeah, but then the yoga comes in and it teaches you the breath. Like, and now while you're doing this passionate thing that you love to do, you're like calm. And it's like, wait a minute, like I'm in a whole nother place right now because of this breath. And now, boom, here comes the doors opening up to that next thing, and the reason why I want to like point that out is because a lot of times like we get caught up in stories, speak for myself, and like these stories are like, oh, but this and how it's supposed to go and it's supposed to be like this and stuff. But just know that when you follow those breadcrumbs, that hindsight, when you see and you start to play everything over, it's like that makes total sense, that's the way this had to happen this way, because now I'm in a position where I can value this exercise of breath because I only know that it came from yoga. But if you didn't have that value for it because you saw the real value when you were grappling, you probably wouldn't even like been pursuing the yoga stuff. It probably would have been like, it's just the yoga thing. No, but you saw the improvement. So now it's like, yes, let me follow this.
Mm. Yeah, it's the perfect microcosm to really understanding, exactly what you're talking about. And like this is what I teach is really when you're listening to those signs, what's that thread of excitement? What's spirit, your higher self? What's your heart? Whatever you want to call it, what's that telling you, guiding you to do for the next step, because that's all oftentimes we have to know. It's just the next step. And letting go of how and what it looks like. So unconsciously, I was doing that. I didn't quite understand, the
Mm.
formula at the time. Now, obviously, in retrospect, 30,000 foot view, I can see it. It's like, it's the only way it would have worked because I never would have walked away from jujitsu and gone on to be, a yoga teacher and begin teaching yoga. So that's that's the point. Were there pains that were really leading me? What I started to find on my yoga journey was that I was starting to peel back some layers.
Mm,
I was starting to, there was settling that was going on. I had no idea through the traumas that I had been through. I lost my father at 19 years old, 17 years old. He got sick and had to take on running a restaurant and bar as a teenager with my brother and sister. I was kicked off my high school baseball team. During that time, he was sick. Mind you, I was working on getting a scholarship. I was a very good athlete. And that got taken from me, or I own that. Whatever I had done for that to happen, never would have thought that.
mm,
But all of these pains, all of these challenges that I was facing, and then going into my 20s, I had relationships with women that I was making some serious mistakes,
mm.
and women were getting pregnant, and we had made many times multiple decisions to not go through with that. And I had this mentality: put your head down, get to work, you're a man, bury it. And so what I started to find out through this journey was how much I was burying.
Mm.
And in that burying, how much of myself was I was I hiding that I did not even have access to. So it was this eye opener, and I continued to follow. I couldn't find anybody at that time that was teaching anything specific with me. Wim Hof was just starting to get big, not even big. He was just starting to kind of be out there. So I went to go see if I could get into his training. It was
Mm.
filled. I flew to Belgium to find another trainer and went to his training. That led me to functional breathing with the oxygen advantage. I flew to California because this something else was driving,
Yeah, yeah.
right? There was this pull, and I just kept saying, I didn't, whatever money, yep, going, I gotta go. I gotta go. What do people looking at me, what the hell is Johnny doing? And I just knew that I'm gonna lose people along the way in the short term. They'll think I'm crazy. They'll be watching. At some point, they're gonna turn around and they'll all come, not all, but whatever. At some point, as long as I stay in my power, if as long as I show and I represent whatever it is that I uncover, all, those people will all come around. And I had to be on this journey. It felt like being alone for quite some time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think anybody that's going through this right now understands that you're gonna have those solace moments because this is new. Like you're being pulled out of the norm, right? Now you were saying that this pool was pulling you everywhere, right? Like, so it's in Cali, I don't care, let's go. Belgium, I don't care, let's go. Let's go. Let's just go, right? But I'm just I'm curious to know, like, what is it that you were feeling behind that pool, right? Because oftentimes it's usually like a pain. We become, at least for me, like you become aware of this. There's something here that's bothering, and now I'm aware of this thing bothering me, and it's nagging the shit out of me. It's like having a freaking splinter, and it's like I need to figure this out. Like, what is this? And like as you start figuring it out, it's like you start peeling layers, and you start to feel different, and you start to think different, and you start to be different, and the more you do it, it's like that. Like an onion, literally, layer by layer, just keeps on coming off, and you start to feel better. And then you get to the point, it's like, damn, I didn't realize that I was feeling like shit for so many years because I finally feel good, you know? And so, like, what was that for you? What was that feeling like for you? If you can describe it.
Mm. Yeah, so there's a blend. I would say that that fuel wasn't like full, wasn't all just passion. There was a mixture of fear that was going on there. There's a
Mm.
mixture of obvious curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
There was this level that I can only describe, right? It was just sitting here. It was this feeling as I feel back into it now, there was an overriding sense of excitement that I had no idea why, but it was just excitement
Mm.
and with some fear in there. So certainly fear is an incredible spark, like that fire under your ass to get you going, you know? Um, but that's what I felt every time when I would either listen to, I'd do some research and like, all right, let's see what this person has to say. Do I want to learn from them? And I'd feel this level of just like excitement. And for me now it's an easy yes. It's like, boom, got it. That's somebody somehow, some way, whether it's for a season or for a lifetime, that person's gonna be, in my life for a period of time. So yeah, it was this blend, and there's no denying. If I
Oh
did do,
my gosh. Go ahead. Go deep on that
ah,
one. Yeah, go deep
yeah,
on that one.
if
When you
you
open
know,
up that listen, when you open up this door, this is I believe in the Bible it says it's better for you not to know me than to know me and turn your back on me. Right? So like listen, that's the same thing when you open up that door to your healing and healing your consciousness, man. It just says you already know. You see it. There's no turning back. And if you try to turn around and ignore it, you feel it. So please elaborate on that one.
yeah, it's things just get disruptive. They
Mm,
get disruptive, and there's been many times where I could think back and I would choose the other path, the path that was just like, all right, this is just Johnny. Let's just go out and forget about all that a little bit. And what I would find, let's say when I would wake up in the morning, after maybe going out, having drinks, hooking up with a random girl or something like that, the feeling of emptiness, the feeling of unfulfillment that I couldn't wrap my head around at the time, but I knew what that felt like. And that was enough. There was nothing more lonely than that feeling of emptiness
mm,
because I was not feeding into whatever it is that my purpose was, right? My higher self. And like when if there's a disconnect there, there's always going to be emptiness. So certainly, yeah, it's that. And if that can be enough to continue to push you forth, then fantastic, right? I'm
yeah.
grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like that feeling that you were being pulled, right? When you ignored it, what was one thing that sticks out for you? That you're like, oh, I clearly remembered, like I ignored it and this happened. And I realized like shit, I can't ignore this shit anymore.
I would have to say it was relationships with women.
Mm-hmm.
It's been my biggest challenge for me to face in this lifetime. And
Mm-hmm.
I've continued to do so much work on and healing the my relationship to the feminine and the feminine energy that's within me. And every time, like even as I was still going on this journey, I still every once in a while I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I fell into it again. I succumbed to the desires to that. I don't even call it, they're not bad. There's nothing bad about it, but what it was providing me, what it was manifesting into my life was not something that I wanted to live with. I
Mm-hmm.
did not want to live with getting a random girl pregnant after whatever it is and then having to deal with making that kind of decision. To me, I was ruined. I felt like I was ruining lives, and it's worth bearing mention that my story does have, as I was on that journey, I had a night, the dark night of the soul,
Mm.
where I can't I could not understand, but I was at home and I was in the midst. This is the beginning of my journey, so I'm backtracking a little, but I had a night where I was at home, and here I was in the span of 9 months. I had three women that I had gotten pregnant. I'm
Mm.
just out there having a good time, but I'm not listening to what's going on. And I had a night at home by myself. I was high, and the strongest urge that you could possibly ever, that I could possibly have ever imagined. And this voice was telling me to go into my bedroom, grab the 357 Magnum that I have, and go kill myself.
Mm.
To the point where I was walking to the bedroom and I couldn't stop myself. It felt like something else is walking me to there, and I had to walk back into the kitchen. I'm going back into the bedroom, back into the kitchen. What is going on here? That was really the big catalyst. I recognized I do not have control of what's going on under the hood, and I have
Mm.
to understand. I have to understand this more.
That's huge.
And that was it. I didn't listen to the point. It was like, you're not listening, you're not listening. It's gonna get, those whispers are becoming, and it was this loud voice. Go fucking kill yourself. You're ruining lives.
Mm.
You're going to hell, and all these stories. I'm like, oh my God. So for me, I had to hit that. As I look back on it, I do not want to go back to that experience. Nonetheless, nonetheless, I can sit here today and say, thank God. You know,
Absolutely.
thank God I, thank God I had that night, and thank God I
Mm.
had a friend that I could call in that moment to be able to just talk me off the ledge and start the next day. And that next day was a switch. Was a switch. Yeah.
Boom. Boom. Thank you for sharing that, brother. I can see that it took a little bit to dig that up, but that switch, that that's what I really wanted to bring up in the conversation, right? Because like those realization moments, like that's how fast they happen, like this, just like that. But
It sheds so much light. I have this compassion for people now. When I hear suicides, and many have happened, that I recognize it can just be a really quick moment. It can be, because there was never a time prior to that I would consider that.
hmm
But everything came up to the surface in that moment. And if you're not resourced, if you don't have the support around you, I can easily see how people just boom, and you make that decision.
yeah,
So
100%. Well, thank God that wasn't the case here, because we wouldn't be having this
yeah.
interview and you sharing this wisdom that you are right now. And
Hmm.
so, as you're transitioning, you're making this change, and now you are in a place where you've made the decision that I am here to share my gifts through my story, right? When did that happen for you?
There was obviously progression, but the next big kind of shift was lockdown, was COVID. So I was
Mm.
teaching yoga up for 5 years up until that point. And I remember specifically, 2 months prior to lockdown, March of 2020, I had my girlfriend at the time broke up with me. So I'm like, and I did not see, first time in my life a girl broke up with me.
Mm.
right? So I'm having to like really sit with all this, and
You
I
were really
was.
you were butt hurt with that one, huh? It's like,
Oh
you are
boy.
breaking up with Johnny Prana? You don't even know what you're doing.
She ran off with another woman. So I
Oh,
mean, it was like
goddamn. Pow, two banger.
just a whole other kind of complexity. I'm like, wait a minute. Damn.
Not me. Oh, man. That was a perfect one.
Yeah. So, but I'll never forget the feeling I had when lockdown hit. I'll never forget it because the world was in turmoil and I had excitement. I,
Mm.
I had excitement. There was something burning. There was something in me that was saying, now's the time.
Mm.
You, all the work that you've been doing, I was recognizing people are spinning left and right. And here I was. This is why you're doing the practices. You were
Cool as a
built for this
cucumber,
shit.
right? Cool as a cucumber while everybody's going crazy.
You were built for this shit.
Mm.
And so that's when I really started to put myself out there more to let people know. I recognize, like, yo, people need help.
Mm.
People need help right now. So I started to, do like free yoga classes online and just sharing more of me. It just felt like again, it was that voice that I heard. I heard that. I heard it's time now. Let's go.
Mm.
And that was it. I just started to go and share more of these everything that I do. And obviously it's been this kind of journey, but nonetheless it's just been this steady climb. And there was never a doubt in my mind that I would ever not, like, even when things are challenging and people aren't signing up for your courses, whatever. It's just like you that's part of it. It was just like, I don't give a fuck. I will I don't want to say it, man, but I remember feeling that. I was like, I'll fucking go broke. I don't care. It doesn't matter. This means more to me. This is filling me up more to to follow this path.
Mm.
So that was another catalyzing moment. The moment of lockdown, the whole world is in turmoil. And I'm just sitting here in the eye of the storm. I'm like, this is what I'm here for. And sure shit enough, like for me, it's when the really challenging situations come up, I lock in.
Mm.
I don't call them in. I don't want that. Or, I don't seek it. Nonetheless, it's like I enjoy working with some clients that are the hard cases. I zone in. I can, so like, what can I relate to? I relate to that. I can relate to that frequency. I got you. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good stuff, man. During the pandemic, similar, I was already helping people before the pandemic, right? But during the pandemic, the amount of compassion, bro, that I had was just like overwhelming, man, because I saw it everywhere. But me and my family, we were chilling, everybody's cool in the house. Everybody's worried about vaccinations. And I'm like, it wasn't even a thought for us.
Right.
Like we were
Never.
living life regular, while others are just like in desperation. And when I saw it, especially when I saw people that I love go through this cycle, like the level of compassion, bro, was so overwhelming that I'm like,
Mm.
I cannot not do nothing about this. So I started hosting a meditation. And in those meditations, some people needed more one-on-one work, right? And so I would work with these people, and I wasn't charging anything. This was just because I knew I had to do something about it because I can, right? Like when you know that you could do something about it, you should, and because I can, I am gonna do something about it. And so I started to teach that meditation classes, and having people go through the experience. You sat with me We've even done joint stuff together. So you
Definitely.
understand
Yeah.
like the potency in that experience. And what's even more is I guess the word rewarding is when you see the transformation in people. Right? Like
Yeah.
when you see that transformation, and then when you have the understanding that I am you, you are me, and me are one. If I sit here and not help you, it's like I'm not helping myself. Like I can't do that. So it's like I'm obligated to. But as I am helping, when you are doing good, that makes me feel so fucking good. And I see it like healing a part of myself. And
Yeah.
especially when people come into the understanding of themselves, who they truly are, like that is even more rewarding. Because it's like now it's almost like a piece of my own consciousness is becoming aware of itself. And that fucking just makes me even more excited because it's fueling. Like it literally fuels you. And now you know how to be available for the next person and be available for the next person. And even if it's just one person, those of you watching, even if it's just one person, you don't have to go out there helping a ton of people. It could be one person that you can help, that one person will then change 1,000,000 lives, 2,000,000, 1,000,000,000 lives. Like, so just know that when you feel that call and that pull, go for it. When you feel that sense of compassion that I can do something right now about this, go for it. Because that's the ripple effect that makes changes. There are people that I worked with during that time that is circling back to me. I was just in April. I was out in Florida with the family. I took the kids over to Florida for the Easter vacation, right? So we over there. 2:00 in the morning, I get a phone call, and there's a dude that I've worked with in real estate that is telling me, "Yo, there's somebody that I just took their online their mentoring. I just signed up for their mentoring." And as we're talking, he mentions Sam Cologne saved my life. And he's like, Sam Cologne? Like, what do you mean Sam Cologne, the real estate guy? Like, save your life? And he's like, yeah. I worked with Sam one-on-one, and like I'm here today because this man stepped into my life. And so like when things like that happen, when you don't like, I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm saving people's lives. I just feel that pain that I once felt. I feel that discomfort that I once felt, that I know is not a good feeling. And I know how to get out of that discomfort. Why wouldn't I want to share that? Especially if I see somebody, and I know what that shit don't feel good, man. When you feel, when your nervous system is all fucked up, when you can't have a clear thought, when you can't sleep at night, when you feel this pressure in your chest, when you feel this pressure in your sternum, when you can't take a deep breath, that's a fucking problem. That's a fucking problem, right? And so like, and people don't even realize that this is a problem until they have a nervous breakdown, right? Or they have a panic attack. Or they lose their shit and somebody beats the shit out of them because they lost their shit on somebody, right? So it can happen in so many different ways. But the thing is like, become aware. Why is it that you're behaving this way? Why is it that you feel this way? Just even be curious. Because the curiosity is what starts it all. Curious, like, what is this that I'm feeling? Like you mentioned before, that excitement. You got curious. Like, yeah, there's something here. And you just kept on going with it. So like, it doesn't just have to be the excitement. It could be also the pain and discomfort. Become curious. Like, what is this that I'm feeling? Why do I feel like this? And as you're going through this process, be open-minded. I like to say, be open-minded. Don't try to just nail it down to one specific thing. Because from my experience, what I see is that it's all connected. And a lot of times I see that we try to make a story behind one particular thing. But when you really start digging and doing the work, you realize like it's in layers. And that shit is connected to that shit, this connected to that, that's connected to this. Just allow yourself to, one little bit at a time, just pull on that string. One layer at a time, just pull that layer out. And as you're doing it, it's so rewarding also. Because like I mentioned before, you start to actually feel good. And when you start feeling good, you realize, like, shit, I went a long time not feeling good. And so many people don't feel good and they don't even realize that they don't feel good. They think that's normal. Like, I'm supposed to be like this.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's one of those secret codes, I feel like, for people that are in the space of supporting others, that when it comes into your awareness, this altruistic quality, that you actually realize, oh, that's that's fueling me. There's almost this
Mm,
level of like, there's almost a level that you have to get over, like, am I actually being selfish in helping this person? Because they don't even realize how much it's feeding me,
yes,
you know,
sir.
to support them. It's this code that is hasn't been outwardly
Express.
presented so much, expressed so much, especially in the Western world, because we're so, the dog eat dog mentality is so ever present and ingrained in our culture that it's there's been, that's the overriding energy that has been present for so long, that I don't matter about anybody else. It's just me. I got to get after it. I got to do it to get to this destination. And how many people do you know that eventually come to you because they get to this destination and they're like, holy fuck,
Yeah.
I don't feel anything.
Yes.
I don't feel that fuck. You trying to tell me that my first 40, 50 some odd years that I've been told to be on this path to get to the top of whatever perceived peak, and now I got here and I'm fucking empty.
Ooh,
I'm,
woo. Yes.
it's like fuck. So, and for, for that person, it's how do you slowly cultivate to get back to some of this form of altruistic qualities. And what I have found is, ultimately, how can we get, there's a thousand ways to skin a cat, but how can we find a way to get this person back into their body? How can we find a way? If we can, sometimes we have to go somewhere else first, but ultimately, can we make this 18-inch journey from our head to our hearts?
Mm-hmm.
And right? And we, you and I both know that the heart is much more than a muscle that's pumping blood. It's it's a catalyzing force. And it has all of this information. That is information that's tethering you to the higher self, to spirit. So, you know, I practice it every morning. It's a non-negotiable. It's not even something I check off the list anymore. It's like I
It's just a
can't
part.
wait.
Part. Yes.
I can't wait to get up in the morning and get into my meditation. For me is heartfulness meditation, and tap into that energy, because once the spark is lit every morning,
So good.
it's boom. And I don't, now it's like anything, it's nurturing, right? It strengthens. And now when I get in front of clients, and I'm sure that I'm just simply listening, I'm just resonating at this frequency, and I'm tapping into the portal through my heart to tap into something bigger, or whomever it is that I connect with, right? That's all right here. I don't have to do much. I don't have to do much. That's been this fun part now, where I stand now, you know,
Mm. That is
in
that's a
supporting others.
beautiful place to be. Beautiful place to be. That's like you stepping out, man, and being the vessel. And like, yeah, just be that pure vessel that whatever's needed for the highest and best, you are there to be the hands and feet of God, man. And that right there, ooh, it's powerful shit. Because beautiful things happen, and then people want to come back to you and ask you, "Oh, how do you do that? What you do?" And I did nothing.
I did. I actually,
I actually
yeah,
did nothing. I'm actually amazed myself. Like
yeah.
I'd be
What did you?
amazed to
Yeah,
think,
yeah. They're
yeah,
like, what was that thing that you just said? Whatever. I'm like,
yeah,
I have no idea
yeah,
what I just said. That's why I say record these sessions and shit, or like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
remember
yeah,
journal
exactly.
because I have no fucking idea what I said. There,
Yo, yeah,
I didn't script that
we
shit. I
gotta give
don't know.
disclosures in the beginning. Like if you really gonna come back and ask me what I said, take your own notes because I'm not gonna remember. Because truly, like
Oh,
that's the way it goes. Like you don't even know. Sometimes I'm amazed. I'm amazed. And people like, yeah, it's freaking awesome. Like you do things that you don't even know. Like how the hell you wanna you like literally put your hand into somebody's energy body and you pulling stuff out that you don't even know how you even know that that's even there. And now people come to you like, how did you know that I was hurting? I didn't know. I didn't. I just come and I surrender as to be the vessel for you, to be the reflection for you, for the highest and best for you. That's all I do. And then God does the work. And it's a beautiful feeling because at the same time, it's also very humbling to know that you're being used at such a capacity that you're just like, okay, I'm here and okay, let's step in. Let's have Johnny let Johnny do his thing while we do his thing to Johnny, right? I remember the event that you and I did. We did it in the city, right? What was that? Like a small corporate event that we did? And so you were leading everybody in the breath work and then the yoga, and then I came in and we did the meditation, taking people's minds to another place, and then we did vibrational healing with the instruments. And it was such a fucking powerful experience, right? And so when you know that somebody is in the same heart frequency, when you guys are in the same room, when you're together, your energy magnifies, right? And that's basically what we did that day. Our energy in that room was so, like, it was so healing. There was a lady in there, and I had to leave the room because of the overwhelm that I had. I don't know if you remember the lady with the fibromyalgia that she said, I've been in pain for 40 something years every day. And right now, I don't feel pain. And she starts crying and I'm like, I'm crying with her, but I'm like, I had to really cry. Like I'm tearing with her, but I had to really cry. That's what I felt. So I'm like, I gave her a hug and I went in the hallway and I'm like, oh, like it's a humbling experience to be the vessel that allowed this woman. I don't know where this woman is now. I don't know if she still has this healed experience. I don't know. But just for that brief moment to know that I was a tool for God to work through me to heal this woman, just for that moment, for her to be in tears and say, I've been in pain for 40 years, but right now I don't feel pain. Like it's the most rewarding experience. Like you can't monetize something like that. It's such a beautiful thing. And like I really I enjoyed that time with you and I. We got to do some more of those, man. That was a good event. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I know that we are coming up right now. We're coming up on the hour, so I just want to start like leading us there. We still got some time. I know you have a hard stop, so I want to respect your time. Now, is there anything that throughout our conversation right now that has come up that you're like, you know what? I want to share this right now.
well, you brought something up, and I think it's worth kind of touching up on, and maybe this will lead us somewhere else, whatever. But being in this space, and we, at least I am, right? It is commodified in a sense. Like now, this is my business,
Correct.
and learning how to dance with those two things is a whole other journey of being, and it's a constant reminder because we talk about those moments that maybe pull us out of being the vessel. And when we're sourcing from an energy of, man, I gotta get, if I sign up with this person, if I get these signs, then I'm getting this money. And I don't care who it is that's in this space, everybody goes through it. And to not talk about it is bullshit
Yes.
because it's going to happen. And it's very important because in those moments, what I have seen is when I am sourcing from that energy, There's going to be complexities, disruption. All of a sudden, why are people not signing up? What the fuck is going on? Blah, blah, blah. And I had that last winter. I had this period of my time that I'm now incredibly grateful for, where I got on 10 calls with people that wanted to work with me. 10. Every single one of them was excited to work with me. I get on a call and none of them closed. None of them. And after the first few, it's like, all right, check in. Am I sourcing from this energy of need, lack, and needing to, am I doing this for the money? And I'm checking in. I'm like, I don't feel like I am. So, all right, let me get on this next call and be sure I'm just in front of them. Boom, again. It had to happen for me. Because clearly somewhere in there, it was deeper, right? Sure, I got through some layers, but it was deeper. And I had to go through that. And I had one client that I was working with. And I recognized in that moment, I said, fuck it. Let everything else go. This is clearly your lesson right now. This person's right here, right in front of you. I'm committing to the next whatever to focus my full attention on this person right in front of me. And that's it. And be fully present with this person and go through this transformative journey and co-create this just with him. And I really let go and I did that. And I just kept trusting and trusting in God, trusting in that, in this process. And what I have found now is that things all of a sudden slowly started to open up. And whether it's been one-on-one clients, making a decision recently, like I've had this studio for 4 years, but I've only wanted to work with people kind of on the low and one-on-one and a few classes. I didn't want to, the story I was telling myself was that I didn't want to feel tethered down here. I want to be able to travel.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a
right?
good one.
And so here's another light bulb moment I had. I came back from Greece last September. I host retreats there, experiences in Greece every year, another magical experience, right? That could be a whole other show, what occurs there and all these places that I get to go. And I come back and I have a session with my acupuncturist, who I really have grown to trust, very intuitive. And she says to me, she's like, I was excited for you to come home because I'm very excited to hear about your experience. And she says something to me. She's like, I really believe in you. I believe in the work that you do. But I don't know how people find you. How do they find you? Like, you're not offering a lot of classes. And, I look through your website and it's a good website, but she's like, there's not a lot of options for people to find you. And I sat there with her and I said, the story that I've been telling myself is that if I were to really just, let's say, create daily offerings at this studio, that it would tie me down and I'd be playing small with a brick and mortar studio and things like that. She's like, okay, but how can you know? Because I feel like, and and she's obviously offering this to me. Do you feel like people around here are asking for your support? And I inside I knew, like, there's a lot of people around here. So if you're denying that, then you're denying what's right in front of you. You're denying what Spirit's offering you right in front of you. And if you're doing that, you're denying an aspect of yourself. You're saying no. I mean, it was like, holy shit. So I recognized that the story I was actually telling myself was that putting myself out there on this whole other level right here at home there was a level of vulnerability that I actually wasn't willing to step into to present myself.
Mm,
And so I committed to doing it, letting go of I don't whatever. Sure, do I want classes to be filled? Yeah, fuck yeah. But just let go because the lessons and the space that opened up for me, like I had two open houses, and both times when I gave speeches, I'm breaking down crying because I recognized that I'm actually
mm,
being seen even more on another level, right here in person by all of these people that have known me in this other version of myself. And they're just waiting, actually. The story I'm telling is like, they don't understand this shit. Nah, they don't need to know. But the reality is like, yo, actually, we're fucking waiting for you.
mm.
Be the fucking light bearer. Be the person that fucking leads and steps in there and takes daggers and whatever shots. Because I actually want to know this, but I don't know how to say that.
Mm, mm,
And, you know, and so I'm literally, right in that, right now, like December and January were months for me, like that there was this whole nother level of expansion
mm,
that has been actively occurring. And
mm. I feel that. I feel that. Like everything that you shared, I felt it. And definitely a lot of energy moving as you're saying it, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, a couple things came up while you were talking. The first one, we were talking about charging, uh, for, let's say, services, right? And what people don't understand is, in order for you to be of service, you have to take the time to service this vessel, right?
mhm,
And physically, spiritually, mentally. And it takes work. I'm talking about not just detoxing your blood, but detoxing their mind, detoxing your energy, actually tuning in every day, working on you in order for you to be a vessel to then go help. Right. And so I think it goes both ways, that the person who's actually being the hands and feet of God and actually putting themselves in that situation to be a vessel, surrendering all their shit in order to be that vessel, to do the work, needs to also recognize that within themselves. Like, I am taking time to prepare myself in order to be of service. So, yes, absolutely, I will charge for my services. Now, are there going to be instances where people can't pay? And you're called because you know that you're tuned in and you're called to go lay hands on that person or call that person or go work on that person, whatever it is, then you fucking do it. But for the
mhm,
most part, us as the people that are offering the services have to be okay with charging, because you are
mhm.
taking the time to work on you in order to be of service. You can't be of service if you don't work on you, right? And you need the time to work on you. And how are you going to pay your bills if you're not working? If you're constantly working on yourself, you're out here trying to make money. You don't have time to work on yourself, so you can't be of service, right? And that's what I see a lot of loops happening, especially people that are in the space that they know that they're called to heal and help others. They go through that loop. Like, they go, okay, let me do this for a little bit. Oh damn, I gotta get to work. Oh, let me try this side thing. Or they go in desperation and they're hiring sales team, trying to force people to come in through a funnel where it's like, no, you know that when the people are called to you, this is right. And you also know when you are trying to manipulate a sales structure to call people in. Those are two different things. And we all know what that's like, right? Especially if you're in the field, consciously, what decisions you're making.
Yeah.
But then you said something about working with that one guy, right? And in the Bible, it talks about the shepherd will leave the 99 sheep in order to go get that one, right? And that right there just like stood out, that you had the realization, like, all right, I had all these. Let's just say, in your case, it was 10, right? So I'm going to use the numbers 100, right? So I had these 100 people, but the 99 didn't work out, but one did. And that's who I'm called to serve, right? And I look at those situations like that as a test, not just for yourself, but also for spirit to say, he's ready. He's ready. He understands. He understands that it doesn't matter if it's just one person he's here to serve, but he's ready. You know, and I remember when you and I met at the retreat, and then we were talking, and we were talking this and that and blah blah, and I looked you in the eyes, and that connection was there. I'm like, Johnny, you got it. Like, you got it. You understand. You know what I'm saying? And you know what you're here to do. We just gotta work through it and do it. You know what I'm saying? Same thing on this side. You know, I know that what I'm here to do, but sometimes I get caught up. I get caught up in my thoughts, and I get caught up in my day to day, and then I say, all right, well, I need a break, but God, I'm here. So anybody, I'm always available. That's the thing. Like, yes, sometimes I don't take the steps forward, but I'm always available. It doesn't matter, right? Right now, I'm taking a break. I'm not pursuing this, making the video, doing this, or doing that, blah, blah, blah. But I'm here. So if there's people that need service, God, use me. And it just happens. I don't need to go posting nothing. People reach out. Hey, I heard that you worked with such and such. They told me they work with you. I wanna talk to you. Okay, let's talk. You know, and so just knowing that you are open and there for the service, it's just like the universe conspires for you now to be that tool to help the people that you are meant to help.
Yeah, you're simply an energetic match for it, is really what it
Mm,
comes down to.
indeed.
And you know, and when we can look at, I start to look at the strategizing, the the funnels and what strategies you're gonna for marketing and things like that. When you have this healthy balance, because that's representing the masculine aspect of this, okay? Right? And the feminine aspect, the more qualitative aspect, right, is going to be this letting go, this being more connected to the energy of the purpose, right? The fuel, the really
Mm,
that you're being pulled by love. When you start to look at it from this, you can then really begin to feed each in its proper like rations, as
exactly.
opposed to like I've been in that place where I'm just feeding the masculine aspect of in this arena, and I'm feeding that because it's really coming from like, I gotta get out there, I'm comparing myself, there's scarcity. And I had you it's almost like it's part of the journey. um, to get your way back, it's always back into balance. It's finding the middle way. And if there's anything that I've been learning, for me, and I've even through this recent training that we talked a bit about, that has expanded me even more, is understanding that the highest level of frequency is always lies right in the middle. It lies right
Mm,
in the middle. And most often than not, it's required for us to sway far in one direction, sway far in the other direction, because we're expanding our capacity to hold whatever it is, the energy more. So sway far, that's okay. It's not bad, but somebody make sure you have the resources, the people around you that can pull you back, right? Way over here. And what I have found, right, doesn't always mean I always stay here, but I always know how to get back here. How do I resource my way back here into this middle ground? Sometimes I gotta sway. Let me push my boundaries and expand my container, right? And then those same stories are gonna come up again. And it's, I recognize that. I know what that story is. I've danced with you before. All right, let's tango. Let's come right back. I know how to resource my way back in. And that's the game, right?
Yes.
That's the game. It's knowing the highest level of frequency that we can all tap into. It's in any shape, form, whatever you want to call it. It's right in the middle. It's right in the middle.
Mm, very true. Very true. That was a good nugget to finish up with, man. So good, brother. That feminine and masculine energy is true, man. It's within us all, and it's a part of creation. And when you learn how to harness that, oh my goodness, it's a game changer. It's a game changer when you can see things from that perspective. Center, tiny point, 0 point, heart, tiny point of the heart, whatever it is that you want to call it. That center, so powerful.
Yeah. And if I even have time, because I feel like it's still worth mentioning, it's nature is providing us all of the map.
Mm-hmm.
Nature's providing us the map, right?
Indeed.
I mean, I even go back for me, like I go back to, you know, in the ancient Egyptians and what they called their gods. They called them neterus. Neterus translates to a conscious force in nature.
Mm.
So, the story of Horus, Sekhmet, right? Go down the list, Osiris, and all of these stories that have been anthropomorphized at the core, because I like to bypass all the stories that humans like to make and all that stuff. And I'm not saying anything about, I just want to let me get to the etymology. Let me get to the source. And at the source, the definition of the word is this is a conscious force in present in nature. So to me, that just represents the energy of, the essence of this God and what they represent, the qualities that they represent are always present. It's right here. So, how do I attune myself so that I can connect to that conscious force of nature? It's right here. And to me, there's something incredibly valuable about demystifying these
Mm.
spiritual practices because they can feel so etheric and so far out, right? Because we've been so much in our left brain and masculine for so long. Now, what's being asked of us is to merge the two,
Indeed.
is to
Yes.
truly merge the two. So understand with an understanding that is digestible this quantitative aspect of spirit. It's right here.
Yes.
All these qualities are actually right here, whatever your belief system is. I'm not here to shift that. But understand, it's actually you. It's just a matter of you attuning to that frequency and starting and
Mm.
working through the barriers of disbelief and all of that. Because as we know, our frequencies is our thoughts, it's our nervous system, it's our beliefs, it's our emotions. It's what we consume. Everything affects that. So arming ourselves, knowing that all of these assets, all of these, okay, so if I learn how to know all of this within myself, how can I now take energy and create the form? The form is being created by all of my thoughts, all of my beliefs, all of my nervous system, everything. It will give it a form so that it creates the function. And that function is what is, or that form is going to, oh, that's a form that connects to this right here. Ooh, that's a match. Boom. Now we create a function. And so that works in all ways. Feed yourself with all fear and lower vibrational things and feed yourself foods that are going to continue to not nurture you. And I'm not even saying it's bad. It just is. You will attune yourself to a lower, denser vibrational frequency that manifests that's present in nature.
Indeed.
So it's just a matter of what do you want? What do you want? And then connect yourself maybe with people, with groups, with whatever it is that are the same ilk, so that now I'm I'm connecting myself. I'm finding my energy is now taking this energy, it's creating now this different shape that will create a function that's in alignment of what it is that I want.
Boom, mic drop. That's so good, man. Like that nugget right there, man, at the end just brought us home, man. Thank you so much, brother, for
Oh
sharing.
man, my pleasure.
Thank This was so good. And honestly, like I got this itch inside of me that I'm like, we can really jam out on that last part that you just shared. We can go
Yeah,
so deep on that one. Like that one deserves this episode so that people can understand, that it's not just the mystic, right? People think that everything's just the mystical. And I just want to add this, like, take a phone, right? One of our phones right now. Take it back to the 1400s, 1200s, like 50, whatever, even the 1800s. They'll look at you like you're either an alien or a sorcerer, right? Like they would not understand what that is, right? That's what I feel is happening now. You know, people have a hard time understanding it, and they cough it up to mysticism or magic. And I like to say that it's ignorance. And it's not your fault that you're ignorant to it. It's just the way it is, right? However, knowing that there's another way by people sharing, being like, wait a minute, like, there's another way, will spark that excitement. Because when you see somebody that's normal, just like you, doing things that you thought that probably were possible, it's like, wait a minute, like, there's something
it's
here.
possible.
It's possible. And then when they can talk to you in a way where, wait, that makes logical sense too. It's not just this foo-foo stuff. That actually makes sense. We
Right.
bring those together, and now as a collective, our consciousness will grow. And we will be having completely different conversations instead of looking at this like esoteric, mystical metaphysics. We will actually be trying to figure out the forces of nature and our true consciousness. And we'll be looking at the world differently through a different set of lens. And when we do, all of us can now help each other because we all have that understanding, right? But brother, listen, this is so good, man. So good. I really
Yeah,
appreciate you, brother. I know that we had a hard stop right now, so I want to wrap it up.
that's
But
okay.
for those of
That's
you
okay. We got time.
watching, man, I know Johnny dropped some bombs here. We're gonna have his information under description. I'm sending you guys all so much love right now, so much value in this. You should at least listen to this bad boy twice. There's a lot of meat here for you. Now, until next time, remember that I am you, you are me, and we are one.